Hello, can you guys hear me? Hey cheaters, can you guys hear me? Are we live? Awesome. Cool, I'm super excited to finally meet you guys and do this class. We actually originally intended for this to be like a traveling hackathon, and so it would have actually been really cool to host like a hackathon. We rented some pretty cool places, and I'm hoping to maybe in the future meet you guys in person. Maybe do like a hackathon plus a class. But the purpose of this class is actually to bring everyone up to speed, and the course is, let me share my screen, basically intended to teach complete newcomers, people who have no experience at all, how to build their own custom automations using CheatLayer, our no-code interface, and GPT-3. Okay. So I hope you can see that. Let me just make sure you can. Yeah. Okay. So the point of the class is we're going to teach you basically to use CheatLayer effectively to solve the entire solution space of automating everything that's possible. And you can kind of think of CheatLayer as your personal software engineer. There are other no-code tools that, including our own no-code tools, that allow you to solve a subset of what's possible. And if you kind of imagine everything that's possible in the largest set or Venn diagram, you have desktop automations, which we can't do yet, but we expect to do maybe later this year. And then smaller than that, you have browser automations. And then that includes everything that's possible in the browser. And then a subset of that is everything that you can do with no-code tools, including our own no-code tool. So you can think of GPT-3 as one path to this entire solution space, including desktop automation. Because GPT-3 inherently understands natural language and JavaScript. It's a machine learning model from OpenAI that was trained to understand everything in the human language. And if you know what to ask, you can generate basically anything that's possible in the browser. And so there's the caveat. GPT-3 doesn't yet translate all the jargon and logical reasoning. And that's one of the reasons for this course. One way we're solving that is we're actually teaching users what to ask. The other way we're solving that is we're teaching GPT-3 with examples from users to translate the jargon so that over time it can actually meet users at their level of understanding. And so we're going to start here. We expect maybe in 2 years or so, with enough of our users basically requesting everything that's possible in the browser, GPT-3 will be basically able to replace the code editor and marketplace. For now, we're teaching users in our onboarding and a course like this how to combine simple words and phrases to basically generate everything that's possible. In this first class, we're going to go over some very basic features of CheatLayer and some very basic automations using GPT-3. This is intended to bring everyone up to the same level, basically. The course of the structure of the course is that we'll have 7 classes now, where we'll start from basic to advanced, teaching you how to basically combine simple words and phrases like variables, functions, classes, and styles to basically generate everything that's possible. In between each class, there will be a weekly project where teams of up to 3, and you can choose your own teams, can compete for a $5,000 cash prize, where we'll be basically jump-starting your white labels. Our last class will also include some key tips to start your own white label, basically on AppSumo or even subscription-based. All right. Also, any users who have to watch the recorded videos instead of coming to the live event, we're releasing the team component, the webhook for the team component, within 24 hours from now. And so everyone has a chance, even if you don't catch the live event, to compete for the cash prize. Cool. I hope all that was still streaming. Let's see, do we have any questions? Yes, recordings will be available. Okay, cool. All right, let's continue. Okay, so I want to make sure that, first of all, everyone is logged in at cheatlayer.com. So let's just go and walk through that very basically. We're assuming some users are completely new and you're just starting. So if you haven't signed up, well, you should have signed up by now if you have this course. So all you have to do is you have to scroll down, click login here. Okay. And that'll take you to this page. And then I already have my extension installed. But if you don't have it installed, what you can do is scroll down and click install Google Chrome extension for CheatLayer. Or if you go to cheatlayer.com/bootcamp, it'll also be there if you don't have it installed. So let's just go through the installation process real quick. All right, as soon as you install it, it's going to open our setup page in a few seconds. And you're going to want to go to cheatlayer.com/bootcamp instead. We'll just bring you back here because we're going to walk you through a basic onboarding right now. Okay. All right. So now everyone, is everyone here? Is everyone, has anyone fallen behind? Are we good? Okay, cool. Yeah. Let me know if anyone needs help. Damien will be available at the tables after the event. If anyone loses track, if we lose track of anyone needs to go back and need help with anything, I'll also be available. All right, cool. So let's open CheatLayer on cheatlayer.com/bot. I do have to refresh this page because oh crap. Okay, I will have to come back. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Cool. Because I just reinstalled the extension, I had to refresh the page. All right, now please share my screen again. Okay, so this first class will be very simple. Oh crap, 1 second. I gotta stop sharing my screen. 1 second. This is a new class, so there are some technical difficulties still, but we should be back to good. All right, here we go. All right, so I need everyone to refresh the page. You're going to have to probably rejoin the event just like me. I'm going to do it with you. And then I'll show you what to do next. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. So did everyone refresh the page? And are we back? Did we lose anyone? Can't join the event, right? Lost already. Okay. Cheatlayer.com/bootcamp. And then once you've refreshed the page, yes, correct. Yeah, at cheatlayer.com/bootcamp. Oh no, well, you need to use Chrome because bootcamp, sorry, not botcamp. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Well, the problem is that Google Chrome is required if you want to use our direct API integrations to Google Docs and Google Sheets, which allows you to send unlimited data to Google Docs and Google Sheets without using Pabbly or Zapier. So it's kind of useful to use Chrome right now. Other browsers like Edge and Vivaldi don't flow or signed in accounts, so it doesn't work with them. Yeah, everything is being recorded. Yep. All the recordings will be available after the class. All right, everyone. And we've refreshed the page, and now I'm going to continue. Okay. So if you scroll down below this air meet, there's a table that includes our classes. You can now click Start to begin class 1. So I just want to make sure we're getting people. Shows black screen. Oh yeah, so if you're in the webinar already, we've lost some people. Andy Lim, are you okay? What do you see? A black screen? You can meet with Damien at one of the tables after the event if you get lost. But if you go to cheatlayer.com/bootcamp, you'll either be presented with an option to sign up. So you'll have to scroll down a little bit and click the sign up button, or you'll be able to get into this air meet. If you're in this air meet, then you should be here. But if you scroll down, there's a class 1 where you can now click Start and begin the class. Oh, because this is an interactive class. Because we're going to be doing automations together live on the Bootcamp website. And actually, in our further classes, we'll be going outside of our website. We'll be automating websites like Amazon and eBay and things like that, going into real-world examples. We're going to start on our website just because it's like a safe and easy place to start for newcomers. If you go to cheatlayer.com/bootcamp, oh, you need to be in Chrome and a regular Chrome account. Oh, sorry. I'm probably standing over the mic. Thank you. Is that better? I mean, if you don't have issues on Brave, we're not teaching anything with direct Google API integrations today, but I would switch for the next class. Chrome will definitely help you out for the next class. Enter. You should enter the event. Yes, correct. But after you've entered the event, you scroll down, and then below the event, there's a table, if you can see my screen, that has all the classes, and you can now start the first class. So if you click this button, let me move the mic. Hold on. If you click this button, it'll allow you to start the first class here. And it'll pop up right above in between the air meet and the table. Okay, cool. We got Andy, everyone else. Okay. I just want to know in general, most people are getting it. And then if anyone falls behind, I and Damien will be available after the class, just in the name of time, because the class is an hour. So it's also recorded, so feel free. Okay, cool. All right, seems like most people get it. All right, so we're on step 1 here. We want to open CheatLayer. So when you first open CheatLayer, it's going to add 3 layers to every website. This first class is going to be very simple to get everyone up to speed. We will touch on something advanced, so everyone will learn something. But basically, we're going to go through we're going to first go through the no-code interface really quickly, and then we're going to jump into some basic GPT-3 phrases. So to get into the no-code interface, we can hover over things on the website when we're in the website layer. To switch between layers, we have these 3 buttons now in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you're ever lost, you might want to go to the website layer. You can also click Cheat Layer up here to hide the doc. You can also hit Control-Alt hide it completely. Okay, so we want to be in the website layer. So I would click website if you went anywhere else just now. And you'll notice that when you hover over things on the page, it allows you to add it to your cheat. So what I want you to do is hover over this link under 1D and click add to cheat. And what we're doing here is we're prototyping an automation, and we're now adding that link to our automation. As soon as you do this, it's going to open our new no-code interface. So this is for users. A lot of users might already know how this works. We have some completely new users as well joining us. So at the top, we start with your selector type. This is how you target elements on the page. You might want to use attributes, which is default, if you want to get many elements on the page, like all the links or all the images. We now recommend using CSS Selector most often because it's most effective at finding elements on the page correctly. And so what I would do is either use CSS Selector or attributes. And a good first step when we prototype these automations is to do something called print to console. So in the next, after we have our selector type, which is our targeting, we go on to what our action is, what we're going to execute on this element. And so let me just go through what all these mean, because this is the only time we're going to go over the no-code interface. So these first three options are actually pretty exciting. They are direct API integrations into Google Sheets, Google Docs, and Google Calendar. But Google is currently reviewing our API integration, so we're at our limit. So our quota of users. So the first 500 users who got access already have access, but everyone else needs to wait until Google finishes the review process. And they're taking a while, much longer than I expected, but it seems like it might take like a week or more. They don't seem to have a lot left. Next, we have print to console, which we'll test out, but I'm going to skip over it. It is basically useful as a first draft. It allows us to print and see what we're automating. In the second row here, we have two new machine learning automations. These actually load TensorFlow into your browser and allow you to detect the contents of objects, contents of images. You can go to Google image search and look at images and find dogs and cats or cars and things. Or sentiment analysis allows you to hover over maybe like a tweet or a post and get whether the post is positive or negative. So these, since they load TensorFlow, depending on your computer power, they might go faster or slower. Next, we use run code on tab to link together automations into complex automations. And we'll be testing this later in this class, actually. The final one in this row is click link button, which is useful for automating navigations. It's one solution to pagination, or building an auto liker like on Twitter or something. On the third row, we have send to Webhook, which is actually going to be tested in our weekly project this week. It allows you to integrate any API, any third-party API. You can integrate Pabbly, Zapier, for example, or even directly Google Sheets. Get data G Sheets uses the public CSV published Google Sheets URL to get data from Google Sheets. As soon as Google approves our direct API integrations, we'll be able to use the OAuth authenticated versions of this, basically. Next, we have save to cloud. This is useful for saving data which is persistent across scripts. We have cloud data that we expose to users, which allow you to basically solve things like duplicates. Say you're scraping all the products from AppSumo and maybe you want to find the newest ones. You save the list, and every time the script runs, it would only scrape the new ones. Save variable is one way to control the flow of automations. It allows you to save data. We'll test this actually later in the course, not in this class, but it allows you to save data to use later. And you can also ask GPT-3 to do this thing. And so let's go to the fourth row. Set value is actually, I guess, less useful now that we have Keypress. So set value allows you to automate input forms, but it's, I guess, the legacy way that we used to do it. It's still useful for dropdowns, but we now have a much more robust way to automate input forms, which I'll get to in 2 steps. So next we have download file. You can ask GPT-3 to get all the images on the page and download them, and it'll use this function. You can supply any URL that has an extension like .png or MP4 or .wav, and it'll download it locally. If you supply text data, like a CSV formatted text, it'll actually download that text data. Next, we have set inner text. This is useful for automating anything on a website that isn't an input form, like the text, the headers, links. And then Keypress is something that I was alluding to before. It's our new, much more sophisticated automation for input forms. It allows you to simulate actual human key presses using the Google Chrome Debugging API. This was actually originally intended for accessibility apps. So it's pretty robust at automating almost any input form on any website. Normally, some websites have validation or security. This can now basically automate all of those. Hover is useful for some websites. They don't show data until you hover over an element or something. And so the only way to get the data is you have to use this. And then finally, screenshot allows you to hover over any part of the page, like a link or a section of the website, take a screenshot and monitor it over time. Okay, so that was pretty long. I can't tell if everyone's still with us, but what we want to do now is click print to console, which is in the first row, 4th option, because this is a good first step. Okay, as soon as you click that, you're going to be popped into our no code layer. This is where you'll prototype automations entirely without code. And you can also click that no code module that you just added and drag it around, and you'll notice 2 things happen. In the background, it highlights the element that we were automating. So it's kind of like a sanity check. And then on the right-hand side, it's going to open up this parameter menu. So for this step, we don't have to really do anything in the parameters. But the most relevant option here might be delay. Sorry, because my friends are here. You can go ahead. It's so funny. I'm trying to be really quiet. It's okay. So sometimes data on the website might not load for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and you'll need to change this to like 5 or 10 here in order for it to work. All right, so to run this automation, we can click File in the top left-hand corner, click Run, or another hotkey is Control-R. Should also work on Mac. When we ran that automation, you might have noticed something happened down here in the bottom left. This box in the bottom left, behind this, is what we call the console. This allows us to print debugging information or even errors in our automations to verify that we're going in the right direction. And as you can see, it did print the link that we hovered over. So you can imagine if we were maybe trying to scrape this, we're going in the right direction and we can continue. Okay, let's check on. So you can now click the website layer to get out of this. And I'm going to check on everyone to make sure we're all still here. Sorry, I'm just going to check the chat. Is anyone stuck or lost? Okay, cool. Looks like everyone's still with us. Highest, best use of the tool. Oh, actually, so let me answer this question. So maybe I can show this on the stage. So this is a good idea. Yeah, every month we do reward the best use case shared to our Facebook group with full stack, 10 codes, 1,000 GPT credits, 2,000 cheat cloud tasks per month. And we are training GPT-3 with all the examples from the marketplace directly live now. So if you submit any request to the marketplace, you're helping us train GPT-3 actually. Your description, your exact wording is used to help train GPT-3 to translate the jargon, because now we're supplying it with a working solution so it can kind of make the connections basically. And so it's completely free for users to do this, and all users get $50 in credits to get something built. We're going to focus much more on the marketplace soon because I'm really excited about that business model. And it also helps us automatically train over time, so it's kind of cool. Okay, is there any other questions? I'm going to skip ahead then. Oh, when you click start, so if you missed this, to start the class, you have to scroll down below the air meet on cheatlayer.com/bootcamp. Click the start button here. This will open the first class. This will also be how you can access the other classes. However, future classes will probably leave Cheatlayer. I mean, our website, and go to other websites. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to move on. Hold on, let me see if there's any other questions. How to go to the table. I wouldn't go to the tables right now. I would use the tables after the event to form teams and meet users. There'll be a weekly team project. Oh, minimize the message on the left, sorry. We do have some users setting up Cheatlayer on Raspberry Pi. Oh, how to use AirMeet. Yeah, sorry guys. So you don't have to join any tables for now. After the class is over, I'll be in a table and Damien will be in a table to help you guys solve if you got stuck anywhere. And also you can use the tables to form teams. If you don't have a team yet, just hang out at a table and talk to users. And if you need help finding a team, you can send the chat your email, and we'll randomly generate teams. All right, I'm going to keep going. Cool. So in this next step, we're going to teach you how to use that cool new feature actually. So we can now basically automate any form on any website. And before, we used to have office hours, and in some cases, websites had like form security or validation that prevented us from automating it. And the only solution we had to get around that was to directly access the API. This is actually how we do one of our cheat code automations, which is Copy AI Automator that generates blogs. So we directly access the API in that automation because they had form validations. But very recently now, we don't need to do that anymore. We can now automate any form because Chrome has this cool debugging API, which is intended for building accessibility apps. We just researched and found it. And, so basically, it should be able to send interactions into the browser context outside the security sandbox of JavaScript. And so when we want to automate any form, you basically want to hover over any input box in the form. And when we do this, we're kind of prototyping it to verify that we can go through the whole form once. So we usually try to put dummy values, unique dummy values in each form element. And then once we verify that we can go through the whole form, then we maybe get the data from Google Sheets. So the point of what I'm doing here is just prototyping like an automation. So what I would do is click Add to Cheat on step 2C if you hover over this little input box, which is an input form. Okay, and you can also see up here at the element type, it says input. So this is kind of like a sanity check that you're going in the right direction. You don't have to know what these element types are, but it sometimes helps. Okay, so we want to actually do Keypress. And what's most useful when automating these things is actually to use CSS Selector. But just to be easy, it doesn't matter for this step. So you can click Keypress. Cool. And then when you click on the no code module for Keypress, it's going to open up a parameter menu on the right-hand side. The relevant one for this step is where it says endpoint Keypress A. You can change this to anything. Okay. And then we're going to run this Let me show you. If you watch up here, if you pay close attention to what's happening up here, it says cheat layer started the debugging, Chrome debugging API. So it actually went into the browser to simulate human key presses. And if you look in the background here, you can see that we have now changed the value of the input form. So this is a very exciting and robust, cool new feature because it basically now lets us automate almost any website. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens now. I remember there were a lot of users who were waiting for this, or maybe in our office hours, they were just kind of stuck or had to do something much harder. And so this should definitely help you build it yourself now. So definitely go try this out. Whatever website you're thinking of, try and hack the input form. All right, so what I would do now is click website. Okay. Let's check on everyone. Are we all still here? How do you get the Keypress? Clicking print to console. So here we can do this step again. So basically what I did was I hovered over the input box. I clicked add to cheat. You can also hit Control Enter. If you're having trouble, I noticed another user said they were having trouble selecting things. Sometimes some things are really tiny and you can't, it's like hard to click. You can also hit Control Enter or Shift Enter. These Control Enter is like a hotkey to do it. Another trick you can do is if you hover over like a parent element like this, and you hold the left and right arrow keys, it kind of cycles through all the child elements. So this basically lets you access anything on the page using the arrow keys, left and right arrow keys. So if all else fails, you can still get it like this using just the keyboard. So it's possible to technically access everything on the page. Okay, so for this step, you got to hover over this input form, click add to cheat. It doesn't matter what you click up here, but you got to click key press, which is on the fourth row, fourth option. Okay, and then I'll click it again. Once you click it again, if you click one of these no-code modules, it'll let you edit the parameter here. Okay, let's go back and check. How are we doing? Oh, you went with CSS instead. Yeah, you can use CSS instead. Here, let's try CSS instead. Okay. Keypress. Okay, so if you use CSS Selector instead, which is actually more robust for these things, right where it says A, endpoint, under endpoint, basically, you can change this to anything. For now, we just, yeah, there you go. Run it again. It's opening the debugging API. I used my hotkeys for running. I didn't do a file run, so sorry about that. So yeah, you can go file run and then add it to the input box. Cool. All right, now we just check how we're doing. Okay, cool. Enlarge the live visual screen. Oh, I don't know. I'm not really an AirMeet. You guys might be more expert on AirMeet than me. I just actually bought it. So I don't know. But it's useful. It seems pretty useful. Or do you guys like it? I don't know. Is it useful? Oh yeah, you can click remove. Let me show you what I did. To remove automations, you click on the automation and there's a remove button here under all the parameter options. So that's let you remove it from, don't need to keep it. Red remove button. Okay. One more session of questions. Oh, the group poster prompt. Oh, if you're having a problem with the onboarding, here, let me just show you what to fix. Some users we're like in between. So we recently updated our UI and the onboarding, and some users got stuck in between and now are like need to finish their onboarding. So here's what you do. So go to cheatlayer.com/bot in a new tab, and then you scroll down, click the new automated onboarding, and then you don't need to click here, and then click skip automated onboarding for now. That'll end your automated onboarding journey, and you'll never have to see that again. So the steps to get rid of that is click here and click skip automating onboarding for now. Okay. Oh yeah, so one thing that can happen is, one common thing that can happen is make sure you select like exactly this box. Actually, for this course, you can use any selector. They all work. So we tested for this step, we tested both CSS Selector or attributes, but we made this class basically easy. There is another class where we'll go into selectors, maybe class 5, but for now, anything works actually. Let's see. Okay, cool. You're not getting the prompts to finish the onboarding. It was small. Oh, which parameters to put in? Okay, here we can do this again. Oh yeah, fresh Chrome profile, that works too. Okay, yeah, let's try. Hold on. Hey, cool. I'm back. What is the shortcut for hiding the editor? Oh yeah, Control E works. Control backspace also works, and Control Alt hides the dock after refreshing. Which parameters to put in? Oh yeah, let me just do that real quick. Okay, so whoops, I accidentally clicked that last. Okay. So I appreciate your patience. Since this class is new, there might be some like rough edges, but I also like your feedback on it. So this is how I did the last automation real quick. So I hovered over the input box. One common error could be accidentally hovering over this area or this area. So make sure you hover over just the input box. And in this onboarding, in this class, you can choose any selector type. Attributes are useful for getting patterns, multiple things on the page. So anything that has the same maybe inner text or even ID, but that's a bad practice. Or CSS Selector and XPath are useful for getting specific things on the page. And we now recommend using CSS Selector most often because it's going to be most successful at finding elements in the wild. It seems to solve most problems. So it's useful for getting very specific input forms or buttons. And then in order to get to Keypress, you got to click on the fourth row, fourth option. Okay. And I got someone said that there's really small to see. So maybe I can try zooming in. Is this easier? And maybe like the compression on the video makes this hard to see. So when you click on Keypress, it opens up this parameter menu on the right-hand side. And I use CSS Selector this time. You can use any selector actually. And when you want to automate with CSS Selector, just under endpoint Keypress, you can type in whatever. Then to run it, I've been using my hotkey, but you can do File Run. And it's going to start the Chrome debugging menu up here. You'll see that means it's doing something. And then it should add test value to the input box. Okay. Cool. check. Oh yeah. We are changing the default option to CSS Selector soon because we're noticing people are less likely to fail if they start with CSS Selector. The reason we've been using attributes is our onboarding just uses it. So we're gonna have a new we have a new onboarding. We just need to switch over to the new automated onboarding. The new onboarding is actually going to walk through live websites too, because it's actually embedded in the extension, not the website. If anyone gets lost, Damien and I will be at one of the tables, so you can meet with us. We can go over any step. Okay, cool. Yeah, screenshot can take specific elements of the page. All right, we're getting a lot of questions. Let's see. Oh, cool. Did you put the text in? Oh, you might have used used an input. No, running the script in the console won't work because we have a pre-built library for some functions like sending data and opening things on tabs. These two tabs. Oh, interesting. Attributes both times didn't work. Are you guys on Chrome? Make sure you, none of this will work unless you have Chrome. That's probably the issue most people are having because it uses the Chrome debugging API. So if you're using Brave or something else, I would switch to Chrome for this step. That's probably why you're not seeing anything happen. So you won't see like this message pop up or anything. Oops. Oh, really? It pops up on Brave? I'm not sure all browsers have it though. Like Edge doesn't support the Chrome storage API, so no, it's activated by default. He's putting this input into this chatting box. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to figure out why it's happening. Just cast the Keypress. Where to click run? Oh, so to click run is file run or Control R. So here I'll walk this again. So there's an input box here. I click add to cheat. And you can leave the CSS selector. You can leave the selector as attributes. That works. And then click Keypress, which is on the fourth row, fourth option. And when you click these things, on the right-hand side, you can set the value, whatever. When you run the automation, you have to click File up here in the top left-hand corner, or Control R. Yeah. All right. So it seems to be working for some people and other people not. So if you have any trouble, meet with either Damien or I after, and we can figure out what your local issue is. Cool. Oh yeah, have a dedicated Chrome profile. That works. Okay, yeah, a couple of people seem to be getting it. Yeah, if you have trouble, what most likely is you might have you might have other extensions that are interfering with it. So a clean Chrome profile is useful for a couple of reasons. It allows you to trigger webhooks in a background window or automations and schedules in the background window, and it prevents other extensions or anything from interfering. Okay, seems like enough users are getting it though, so we're going to keep going. Remember, this is all recorded, so you can come back to this step if you need to. Okay, so in this step, I just want to make sure we get through everything in the hour, and then we'll go back and maybe do some of the harder steps, repeat them. Okay. And so in this step, we show you how to link together automations into complex automations. You can do this using GPT-3. We're going to teach you how to do that in a later class, a later step, but also using the no-code editor, what you need to do right now is copy this code. It says alert hello world. When you copy it, make sure to copy this semicolon as well. This is a very simple test, simple script that we're going to write right now. So once you've copied it by right-clicking and clicking copy or Control-C, let's go to the code layer. And let's click File, New. Okay, so we're in a new one. And then paste in the code that we just copied. Okay, so it's going to look like this. There's a very small line there. All right. So next, you click File, Save. I'm going to call this My Script. Okay, so I already have a lot of automations, but for you, it's going to basically add it to your cheat list. Your cheat list is your list of automations that you can run on any website. When you have one, you'll be able to click these options. You can run, edit, remove, white label, or schedule them. White label allows you to generate a Chrome extension from any one of these automations, including packaging any linked together automations that you would do, like we're going to do now. Scheduling allows you to schedule these to run and open in your browser. So for example, you could schedule it to run daily. It'll actually open a tab in your browser at the specific website, run the automation, and then close itself. Okay. So next, we're going to go File, New. We've already saved that script. We can go back to the website layer. You can also hit Control Backspace to get out of things, or Control E. But I like the website. It's pretty fast. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, now, I need to, something's wrong here. I wonder if this is like a bug. Okay, let's try this. So you might have to refresh the page. Let me refresh the page. 1 second. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. We could connect them. Hold on, let me reshare my screen. Cool. Oh yeah, we do need a built-in refresh. Okay, so if you ever run out of, if you like get stuck or something, you can refresh the page. Okay. I think we just found a bug in this step actually. So you might need to refresh the page here. Okay. So once we've saved that my script, it'll still be here. So we won't lose progress. What we want to do is hover over in step 3, section D. We can hit Control Enter. That would have also worked, but I just wanted to show you you can also do the button. So you can click Add to Cheat. And on this step, be very careful to make sure your element type is A up here. So this is kind of like a sanity check. That's one reason it's useful. Because you can accidentally hover over maybe like this section or this section, things like that. So it's actually the smaller link that you want to hover over. And then click Add to Cheat. Okay. Oops, sorry. And then Okay. And then when we want to link together automations, we click Run Code on tab, which is on the second row, third option. Right? That's going to pop you into the no code layer. If you click Run Code on tab, it's now going to highlight what we were automating, which is that link. That link is linked to Google. And then I have a lot of scripts, but when you click it, you'll also get this parameter menu on the right-hand side. And then, so what we want to do here is click where it says under code. Let me zoom in here. On the parameter menu, change script name to my script, or whatever we saved it as earlier. It has to be the name of a script in our cheat list. So my script is here, it'll work. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay. And then we go to File, Run. To execute this, it's going to open up Google in a new tab, and it's going to run our my script automation, which is basically just to say hello world, an alert. That was very simple. So that was a very simple automation, but the point was that we didn't need to write the code to link together this automation with something we've done before. So this means that you can now link together unlimited automations just using the name of the script. And this is even more powerful with GPT-3. So let's move on to the next step. To actually start GPT-3, so let me check how we're doing. Okay, it works, cool. Oh, API way, yeah. You can use API way. Someone mentioned that it allows unlimited data. We're also going to teach users to build their own Pabbly and Zapier locally with unlimited data as soon as we get, as soon as Google approves our unlimited API request, basically. Because if you combine our Webhook feature with Send Ajax and our direct API integrations, you can basically build your own Zapier. They're not technically very difficult. The API integrations are usually one line that send data to one webhook. And you can rebuild that entirely in CheatLayer. And because it's running in the background in your browser, you can build an unlimited Zapier with unlimited tasks. So we're partnering with some YouTubers to release tutorials on that as soon as it's available. For now, we recommend using Pabbly actually because honestly, it saves time over Zapier or all the other things that we can show users. So we save a few minutes in our onboarding. And also they just have way more integrations than us right now. So it's still very technically very useful to learn how to do this. We'll get to that step last. So for now, let's move on to, let's start GPT-3 automations. So far, we've only been using the no code interface. This was just to get people up to speed if they haven't had the onboarding yet. We have a live onboarding that'll teach you more of these features. And this is part of the regular tool. The purpose of this class, though, is to go more in depth into GPT-3, which you can really think about, as I mentioned earlier, as your path to the entire solution space. It's kind of like your personal software engineer, if you know what to ask. And so we're going to try and teach you what to ask in these classes. So to start, open CheatLayer. We don't need that anymore. We can go to the, well, let's first copy this quote. One second. Collect all the images on the page and download them, which is in section 4C. And then let's click code layer, or we could also click no code layer, it doesn't matter. And then click file, and then GPT-3 code generator. It's going to open up this prompt, which is how we interface with GPT-3, and it's really where the tool is the most powerful. So I definitely recommend playing with this after the class. Most users tend to not use most of their credits right now, we suspect, because they don't know what to ask. So we're trying to teach users. But really, you'd be surprised in what you can generate. Even as a software developer, I'm learning that instead of going to Google or Stack Overflow, I can just ask this. And if you have access to GitHub and Codex Copilot, you also know how well that works. So once you paste in the quote to generate code, just click generate. It's going to take maybe 20 seconds. If you see any error in this step, you might have to log into cheatlayer.com in a new tab. You might have been logged out or something. And then it generates code in about 20 seconds. And this code works. But we're not going to go over what it means because we don't need to know. We're just going to run it. So go to File, Run, Control R. Oh, just to warn you, it's going to download a couple images really fast. And, excuse me, depending on your settings in Chrome, it might stop here. You might not download the image. It might force you to choose where to download them. So to solve that problem, click the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner in Chrome. Then click Settings. And then search for Downloads. And then the last option is a switch to choose where to download. And if you disable this, you can automate downloading things without having a user intervene. So that'll let you download all the images on the page. Otherwise, Chrome will stop it because once you hit the security sandbox of the file Explorer, it doesn't allow code to execute. So once you set that to no, you can come back here and run it again. Do Control R, and it's going to download a bunch of images. You can delete those later. Sorry about that. But basically, these are all the images on the page. So you can ask GPT-3, I just asked for images. You could even say, like, all the images that don't include PNG or don't include SVG, or all the videos on the page, MP4s on the page, anything, basically. It'll figure it out. So there's a kind of like an introduction into how powerful GPT-3 is. It can kind of extrapolate from this simple example without needing to explicitly know the code or generate the code like we would. So, all right, that's enough for this step. It's just an introduction. So I would click Website. And that was our first custom automation with GPT-3. Okay, let's go back. Check on people. Did you guys download images? images. Sorry about that. Cool. Yeah, you can say accept PNG or accept JPG. Yeah, let me go through a quick example of like how you could customize that. So actually definitely try this out on other websites after the class. So I just said all the images, but you can say that include SVG, for example. And you can see in the code actually does get SVG. All right, let's go to, just want to check how we're doing. Okay, cool. Let's move on then. And remember, if anyone gets stuck, we'll be at the tables after the class. Cool. So these are very simple GPT-3 generations, but if you understand a few fundamental concepts like variables, functions, styles, and classes, you can piece them together to basically build anything that's possible. You can also do, like we just did, a very simple example. You can do conditional logic. And this is one reason GPT-3 is really powerful, because when you're automating websites that maybe try to obfuscate their code like Facebook or Instagram, no-code tools have a hard time specifically targeting elements because they maybe keep changing them. You can instead use conditional logic. You can say, for example, get all the divs on the page that include follow. All right, and so that might only work in one language, but it bypasses all the hierarchy of obfuscation Instagram might have to click the follow button. So we're going to go over more complex examples of how to do this on real world websites later in the course. But just here in this first class, we're going to start off with a very simple concept called variables. It's a also very powerful concept because it allows you to keep track of almost anything. So if you know what variables are in mathematics, it's kind of the same concept, except variables in JavaScript can store text, images, entire websites, basically anything you want. And so you can use that plus conditional logic to basically do a bunch of different tricks to control the flow of your automation. For example, you can add indexes, increment an index, and then maybe stop at a specific number, things like that. And so when we get to loops, we'll learn how to do that. But for now, we're just going to learn what variables can do. And so to start, let's click on steps 5C, copy this quote. Okay, now we can click code or no code layer after we've copied that quote, which says save the body inner text as a variable called test. And then click GPT-3 code generator. Remember, this is how we get to GPT-3 and paste it in there. All right, and so just to analyze this a little bit before we move on, let me zoom in so it's easier to see. This is going to get the body inner text, but we also gave it an explicit name. You can tell GPT-3 to call your variables whatever you want. And we recommend doing this because then you don't have to go digging through the code to figure out what it guessed. It's powerful enough to guess based on context cues in the code itself, but we recommend being explicit. And also, when you're choosing variable names, don't try to choose like keywords in JavaScript, like variable and stuff like that. It sometimes gets confused. And so try to choose like test or my script, things like that. So, okay, so I click generate. Cool. Actually, so we don't keep downloading images. Let's just click file new and then click generate again, and it'll actually save what we last entered. So you're not going to waste a lot of time. And just generate that again. So file new creates a new automation. When we save them, that allows us to get them back again. And then this should generate a very small line of code here. Okay, so we don't need to understand what that means. We just need to understand that we've now saved the body inner text into a container we called test. Next, let's click the website layer. And we're going to combine this with another GPT-3 sentence. So just copy print the variable called test to the console. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the code layer or no code layer. Click file, GPT-3 code generator. Okay, and then delete all this stuff. Paste in that. So this is a very cool example because it highlights how we can combine multiple different GPT-3 phrases into complex automations. And the only reason we can do that is because we gave the variable an explicit name that we're now referencing again. We'll be able to do this with much more than variables. We can do this with functions, styles, classes. And once you understand how to do that, you can kind of build whatever you want in JavaScript. So it's kind of fun. And it's also exciting to see what GPT-3 actually generates once you know what to ask. Because I'm getting surprised even just by, like, sometimes I Google things and sometimes now I'm realizing I can just ask GPT-3 instead. Anyway, so let me just click generate. Cool. So what we did there was we saved data in our last sentence into a variable container we call test. Now we're going to print it to the console. We're going to do something else with it. We could have downloaded it, run a new script on it, anything basically. But this is a very simple example. So now we'll go to run. And down in the console here, if you use your arrow keys, basically took all the text from the website and printed it here. So you can build maybe a scraper, a website scraper. Another user built something using these two sentences actually to get all the images and text from a website and translate it to another language to kind of generate content automatically from other languages. I thought that was kind of clever. All right, so that's enough for this step. It's very simple, but it's powerful because you understand that now you can link together GPT-3 generations. Okay. Let's go. Oh, we're running a little over time. I'll try to be better at predicting how long these things take, but I don't mind staying after. So let me just check how users are going. And also, everything is recorded, so you can come back. If you can't stay, if you had to go, it's all recorded. Yes. Oh, wait, no. It should print the text from the website. Let me show you. Oh, yeah, I'll show you my code. Yeah, 1 second. Here, let me open cheat layer again. And then code layer. So here, I'll zoom into the code. This might be harder to see because I don't know how it looks on your end after compression, but I did 2 sentences basically. So the first sentence was save the body inner text. The right sentence. Hold on. Oops, here we go. Save the body inner text as a variable called test. You could technically call it anything, but in this step, you should call it test because we're linking 2 GPT-3 generations here. So, okay. So save the body inner text as a variable called test. And that generates the first line up there. And now we can do whatever we want with test. So next we do print the variable called test to the console. We could have done anything. We could have sent it to Google Sheets, run a script on it, things like that. Let's generate this again. Cool. All right. So those 2 lines of code basically take all the text on any website and then print it to the console. You could have also said send it to Google Sheets to scrape it to Google Sheets or Pabbly or anything, for example, yes. Or download it, maybe, even to download a text file or CSV file. Okay. So, okay, let me check the questions. Yes, you can do something called objects. So we'll talk about objects later. You can save more than just text into variables. So in JavaScript, variables don't have types. They can be changed from text to numbers to whatever, which is kind of cool. I like JavaScript because it's very forgiving. If you're new to learning this stuff, JavaScript, you can write it if you have any text editor and a browser. Anyone who has a text editor can write JavaScript, save it as a .js file, and test it in your browser. But also, it's very forgiving because extra threads don't crash the whole program. Otherwise, the whole internet would be broken. So it's very forgiving for newcomers. And also, there's something called objects in JavaScript that let you combine multiple different variable types of data. And you can even ask GPT-3 to do this. So, for example, if you wanted to send like multiple things on the page, you could say, you can ask GPT-3 to send the image, source, and alt text to Google Sheets. And it would actually pick each one of those out. Oh, in the console, you can use the arrow keys. If you click inside, we should actually add a scroll bar for that. It's kind of annoying. But if you click inside, I think this is on our request list. Anyway. So the design team is now like constantly iterating, so we can just keep requesting wish list items for UI upgrades. One thing that I would like is a scroll bar. If you click inside, you can move the arrow keys like that. And you should see like the whole website, all this text. Do we got enough people who made it through it? Yeah, well, so that's the thing. GPT-3, I mean, the copywriting tools were first introduced, but coding using Codex and GPT-3 is a new thing. We were actually the first, other than Microsoft, to get approval from OpenAI to release GPT-3 for coding. Microsoft has exclusive access to Codex, but they were hesitant to doing it because it could kind of generate malicious code. So it's kind of a new thing to know what to ask. If you're a JavaScript developer, you kind of already know what to ask. So we're kind of inventing the first course here, through these classes, to teach you to know what to ask. And this is a very simple class because we're assuming there's some users here who have never seen cheat layer before. So it's kind of heavy to go beyond variables. But once we get to functions and classes and styles and things like that, you can piece those together to kind of generate whatever you want. And then it's kind of like hiring a software engineer, just knowing how to like converse with them, knowing what to ask them, basically. Cool. Oh, without reading them. Oh yeah, sorry. Here, I don't really know how to use. Here, I don't really know how to use AirMeet, but I haven't been reading the questions. Let me ask them. Let me put them out here. Oh, thank you guys. Not getting any other save as. Save as. Code generated. Try refreshing the page, Stephen Bauer, and also make sure you have a clean Chrome profile. Refresh the page and open up cheat layer again. Where are the replays stored? AirMeet has replays available, and we're recording this. Yes. You don't have to include quotes. We've GPT-3 will remove that. Top one. I see. Oh yeah, we need a better scroll bar for the browser console. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna. I'm still only answering questions without posting them. Sorry, I gotta get better at that. Okay. I have a background. Oh yeah, we have access to Codex internally. It's much better, definitely. But we also train GPT-3 with our own flavor of GPT-3 by fine-tuning certain phrases and functions. So for example, that's why the send Ajax function actually sends data and bypasses website security or running on tab works. Because we're able to fine-tune GPT-3 to make it better. And so, yeah, vanilla GPT-3 is not very good at these things. Like, we wouldn't be able to generate a lot of our current automations. Like get all the images on the page and download them, that wouldn't have worked. But it only works because we've trained it with examples. So we're going to continue with training it with examples like I explained. So our version of the model is actually effective at generating custom automations if you know the patterns that we've used to train it. So we've trained things like variables, functions, delays, things like that. Yeah. And actually, our whole no-code interface originally, if you remember, if you were one of the earlier users, our whole no-code interface used GPT-3 directly because we figured out the phrases to ask to generate the same code. And we no longer do that because we can generate the code and it doesn't cost any credits. But you can technically generate all the same stuff if you know what to ask. All right. I think we got a lot of people here. Okay, cool. Let's move on. We're going way over time, so I just want to make sure we finish, and then we'll come back and go over any parts that we had trouble with. Okay. All right. Erase to Pabbly. This is a really cool feature. So one trick that you can ask GPT-3 is to store variables as arrays, which are collections of store data as arrays, which are collections of variables. And the reason you might want to do this is because it's very common on maybe government websites or data websites like MLS to have tables of data. And you can ask GPT-3 to take all the rows on that page and save it into something called an array. And Pabbly has this cool feature where it understands the concept of an array. So it'll actually split up the whole array for you into separate columns, rows and columns. So it kind of saves hours sometimes over other tools, actually. So this is a pretty cool feature. But we're still in the realm of just teaching you how variables work and how arrays work, okay? And so to test this out, copy this quote. And we can click File New. Okay, and then I'm going to go to File, Generate GPT Code, or GPT-3 Code Generator, and then paste it in here. We can delete whatever we had before. You can notice again, we're also giving it an explicit name, the variable, the array, an explicit name. Okay, so that's enough for that step. Let's go back to the website layer by clicking Website. And on step 6B, we want to copy this quote. So this is another example where we're linking together two different GPT-3 sentences into a more complex automation by using a variable that we've given an explicit name called table. So that's a common trick. Okay, and then you can click File, Generate GPT-3 Code Generator. After you go to the code layer, and then paste this in, and then click Generate. Okay, and so this is how we interface with any third-party API. But you can notice that it actually used the variable table and it's sending the data table. At this point, we're going to show you how to set up Pabbly, or you can use Zapier or any other service technically. They kind of all work the same, but we recommend using Pabbly because it actually saves time during these instructionals. And also, it's the only one that does this cool thing. I haven't noticed anything else that does this. If you guys know, let me know. So let's just call it tables. Oh yeah, sorry. When you get to Pabbly, click Create Workflow. Some of you guys might not have Pabbly. So you can sign up for the free trial. It's more than enough for this this class. If they finish. Maybe I'll go through signing up for Pabbly. You can sign up for the free trial here at pabbly.com. Free trial. And then I would sign up with Google, or you can enter this. I already have an account. So the next step after this, it's going to ask you to verify your email, if I remember. Yeah. So you're going to have to verify your email, but it's definitely worth it. Let's wait a minute for anyone who has to sign up for Pabbly right now. Not everyone might have it. Of course, we do have direct API integrations, and we can integrate with any third-party API, so you can kind of build your own Pabbly, and we're going to release tutorials on how to do that. So maybe I'll check if there's any questions while we're writing. You guys signing up for Pabbly? Do you have Pabbly? Oops. Is that done with the code editor? Oh, okay. So when you when you use the no-code editor, step 3 is still completely in the no-code editor. So to link together automations, this might be something you might want to bring to Damien after the class. We're using the no-code function called run code on tab. This allows you to link together any script that you've written with something that you're writing now by opening it in a new tab. Okay. As a streamer, yeah, sure. We're actually partnering with YouTubers to help us build out our marketing stack. We haven't been marketing at all. It's all been organic growth, really, which is pretty crazy. Because we built an MVP to be the first approved from OpenAI for code generation. Really appreciate you guys giving all that feedback and helping us iterate quickly. And we finally have this new UI. Okay. Whoops, I'm way back. Hold on. Oh, yes. There is on cheatlayer.com/bot and cheatlayer.com/doc/scripts are custom. There's like small documentation, but no, we definitely need more documentation on those functions. We've been focusing on our no-code features because most of our users are non-technical, but we'll add more API documentation. For example, run on tab actually has a timeout that I don't think we document anywhere. So you can stop the timeout. We definitely need to have that. Let's see. Oh, cool. People are looking for, okay. All right, I'll assume everyone has installed Pabbly by now. Or you know what you're doing. To do multiple functions. Oh, okay, Mitch, I would bring this to Damien or me, the table after the class, to one of the tables. Basically, run code on tab is how we link together automations between multiple scripts. And the common pattern is you build a script or an automation for each page that you have. So if you're building like an Amazon scraper, you might have one for the search page and one for the product page. And the way you link them together is this run code on tab no code function, or you can ask GPT-3 to do this. We're going to show you how to do this in a future class. So the run code, what we've shown so far was all the no code tools, and you can meet with us after the class at one of the tables to go over any of those. Cool. All right. Okay, cool. Now let's move on. I think I took a break because I wanted to make sure people had time to sign up for the Pabbly tutorial, because you do need to verify your email. Okay, so now let's go back to setting up Pabbly. Click Create Workflow. This also took a while last time, so let's hope that doesn't. Okay, cool. And if you're using something else like Zapier, these all work basically the same way. It's just Pabbly. Actually, Pabbly is the only one that does this. I still don't know another one that does this. Okay. The first step is always Webhook. So I click the Webhook. And then I click copy here. I went through that too fast. Let's try that again. So Pabbly, click Create Workflow. You can call it whatever. And the first step is Webhook. Okay. And then what we want to do is copy this. And this works the same way in most of these integration services. You have to copy the webhook URL and then go back to cheat layer. And then if we go back to cheat layer, we open cheat layer and click the code layer. What we just generated should still be there. And you might have to zoom in to see it. But you can paste in replace with the URL that we just copied. And in JavaScript, anything that's a text, like a URL or words like this, they have to be in quotes, single quotes or double quotes. That's why it's green like this. All right. So now it's pasted in here. If you use our no code module for, let me go back to website layer. the no-code sent to webhook module, it actually has a no-code parameter menu for entering in the webhook URL and stuff. But here, we've split the no-code interface in GPT-3 so that it can generate any custom code, because GPT-3 can technically generate way more custom code than we could build in an interface for. So we have a solution for this. Eventually, we're gonna bring back a no-code interface into GPT-3 generations, but it's kind of tricky. Okay, so once you've done this, you can click File Run. Then we can go back to Pabbly, and it'll have captured the data. Okay, all right, so all of that work was basically for this payoff. So this is the exciting thing, basically. The thing that Pabbly saves us doing is going in and maybe scraping each one of these individually. But by asking GPT-3 to save data as an array, Pabbly is also able to understand that array. We can send it to Pabbly, and it splits it all up for us pretty quickly. Cool. Now you could go ahead and maybe send this to Google Sheets or whatever you want next, but I'm not going to go through that step. You can test any one of these. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you click Google Sheets, maybe you want to do add new row, and you can do the mapping in Pabbly. Okay, we do teach how to do the Pabbly full Google Sheets setup in our onboarding if you're interested in that. And very soon we're going to be releasing tutorials to go directly to Google Sheets. I just wanted to show you how to get to this point in Pabbly, because Pabbly has way more integrations than we do currently, so it's still very useful. We still recommend it to our users. All right, that should be it. We went way over time. I did not predict that well, but we're going to get better at this. I think I got some good feedback from you guys. In future classes, we'll also try to run this on other websites, which is kind of scary for me. I expect we'll probably lose a lot of users on different browsers or websites and things, but let's figure it out maybe. Okay, the last thing I want to explain is the team project. This first team project is very simple. It's not going to be hard. We're going to make it easy, but you just need to basically find a team with any 3 team members and come up with a team name, like an exclusive team name. And you'll get an alert if it's already been used up or something. But basically, we'll update this part of the class with a webhook in 24 hours from now that will allow you to use our no-code module for send to webhook. And I'm going to go through it really quickly here. So you click that no-code module. Let me just draw I got there. So you hover over this input box, click add to cheat, and I clicked send to webhook. Okay. So in the no-code layer, if you click send to webhook, it opens up the no-code parameters again. You'll have this URL here. Okay. So what we want you to do for this team project is to get the URL from us, which we're going to release in 24 hours, and paste this in here. But also change this data in quotes, your team name. You can pick whatever team name you want, but just make sure each one of your team members submits this. Because the way we're actually grading these assignments, these weekly projects, is we're going to rank everyone who submits the solution and assign a score from 0 to 100 based on that scale. So if everyone fails, then everyone wins. But if people finish very quickly, then they're going to get much higher score. So to make it fair for users who are international who can't attend this course and have to watch the recordings, we're not releasing the webhook URL yet. We're going to release it tomorrow. So this gives you some time to find some team members, make some friends, meet some other users. That's what the tables was actually for. You didn't need to use the tables for the session, but you can now go to the tables and find your teammates or meet with Damien and me if you need help. And so we'll be there till 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. EST. Okay? Okay. Hopefully we didn't lose too many people. This first class, even though we went over time, we tried to be as simple as possible because we're trying to bring everyone up to the same level of understanding just to start. All of these steps, they're all recorded, so you can go back and go through them again. And this class is also available to go back and go through. Just you need to click start here. The recording link outside of AirMeet will also be available here. Okay. All right, guys, cool. How do we move over tables? So I don't actually know. I'm not done. Maybe someone else could access this. How do we access tables? Oh, refresh the page. And when you join again, it'll let you, or I don't know. Can someone explain to me? I have no idea. Do I pause the session? If anyone knows how to get to the tables in AirMeet, let people know. I'm going to pause the session. I'm going to try and head to the tables myself or end the session. But I can't find them. Okay. I'm going to end the session. To get to the tables, just try to refresh this page. And then once the session is over, you'll probably still be able to access the tables like you were before. All right. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Sorry we went over. Please feel free to send us feedback on this. We're really trying to improve. This is the first class. We're kind of inventing this course, actually. So we're trying to figure out what's more useful, what was helpful, what slowed you down, what was confusing, maybe, things like that. In the future classes, we're going to actually go to real-world websites, which I'm kind of scared of. We might lose a lot of users, but it's really where you learn the most. So we're going to go over some real-world complex examples. All right, guys. Have fun.